Welcome to our lunch with Linda. And we're going to be with some more people coming in. Welcome to the room, everyone. It's time for our favorite time of the week, Thursday, lunch with Linda. And welcome, Linda Simmons. We're so grateful, is the word, I think, to have this time with you every Thursday. It's been really helpful in my life, my mom's life, my friends' lives, because I've been sharing this info with them, and I know everyone else, they come here each week because they're gaining a lot from it as well. Welcome to our newbies who are here with us for the first time this time. So Linda.
Yes.
What is it that we are going to talk about today?
Well, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to start with a quote Louis Pasteur wrote. Let me tell you the secret that has led me to my goal. My strength lies solely in my tenacity. So I have been known to be very tenacious to the point of obnoxious. Pick. When I was dancing at the Golden Horseshoe, the tragic audition, I'd been dancing in the show for 2 years, and then they held an audition and they hired everyone else back except me. And I was crushed, and I was so nervous and sad. I mean, it was just crushed. And I full on called the director and said, "What's up? What's up, Michael Maines? Tell me what." He goes, "Well, I will tell you this, you certainly are tenacious." And he just said, "You're just too short, and you've been lying about your height for 2 years." And I go, "Okay." I wore higher heels than everyone else. So you had to be like 5'6", and I'm 5'3", 4 maybe. And so I just wore 4-inch heels rather than 2.5-inch heels. But man, that was the thing that hurt my soul. But that thing, that tenacious quality that I received from there, that growth there, helped me later on when, as a show director at Disney, I auditioned, I interviewed for the job as a show director at Disney 10 times. 10. And every time they said things like, "Oh, you have too many Disney credits." I was all, ugh. So then I just took all the Disney credits off my resume and then put on all the billion of other outside credits that I've done. "Oh, you don't have any Broadway credits." And then I put on the stuff that I'd done in New York. It was all whatever. I'm just never going to be the girl that they're going to want. So then the last time the job position came up, I didn't even interview it, and then they offered it to me. So there you have it. But the truth is, I think that persistence, perseverance, tenacity, and consistency kind of all live in the same world. So I'm going to say those again because I see people running to their paper. Persistence, perseverance, tenacity, and consistency are superpowers. They're superpowers. And my friend Samantha, who's on the page, she wrote a beautiful thing yesterday in her Instagram story, but it really hit my heart. In the youth education series, one of the questions I always ask when we're starting our warm-up, and always asked, and now the people who continue to do that program still ask those questions, is what superpower would you wish you had? And when you're a beginning superpower searcher, when you're beginning searching for your superpower, you say things like, "I would fly, I would be able to tesseract, I would be able to do 100 things at one time, I would be able," but as you get more advanced, you start saying things like, "I wish that I could breathe peace into a room. I wish that I could help people to have no self-doubt." Okay, ambition is the path to success, but persistence is the vehicle you will arrive in. And Bill Bradley said that. During this pandemic, during this week, whatever week we're on, I think it's like 11 or 12 or 1,059 trillion. I do these things called a Start Today journal from Rachel Hollis, and I write down like what is happening. Thanks, Crystal. I write down what's happening that day and what day of the pandemic I'm on. And so I think I was on day 75. So, however that transforms to weeks, 10 and a half. It's been making me think a lot about persistence. That we persist in doing becomes easier not that the task is, but that our ability to accomplish the task is greater. And the definition of persistence is interesting. The first one is firm or obstinate continuance of an action in spite of difficulty or opposition. I love that. Firm or obstinate. Now, I'm not necessarily firm. I'm going to call myself obstinate because I am a Cancer of the Crab man, and I will hold on to the things I love at the risk of losing a claw. At risk of losing a claw. But in spite of difficulty, it's that whole idea of holding on even when it's hard. And second, the continued or prolonged existence of something. That's actually my favorite part, because our passion and our love for our work and our art or our goal or our dream or our desire to want to become a better human being or whatever, we have to love that. And we have to let our passion guide us, our love for that. And remember, and we talked about this so much in the first few weeks of these discussions, that there is only a 1 in 300 trillion chances that you are here on this earth experiencing this pandemic. 1 in 300 trillion. That is like as many stars are in the Milky Way, y'all. That's a lot. And so we feel uncertain for sure, but it's our persistence that will help us to know that we're going to come out of this stronger. So here's a question I have for you. When in this last time frame, the last 75 days or 109,000 days or however many days you feel like it is today, because some days you're going to think this just started, and then some days you're going to think, can this please be over? So when has that thought, or when has persistence shaped your life during this time? Can you think of something that you've had to do that you've said, you know what, I'm just going to do this. I'm going to be tenacious. I'm going to be persistent. I'm just going to do this thing, and I'm just going to keep trying to move forward. So anyone in this room, if you go to participants, you can raise your hand, by the way. Look, there's a participant thing. I think maybe it's not on yours. I don't know. Anyway, anybody out there want to share how they have been persistent? I know my friend William Shanling, who I don't see his beautiful face or hear his voice, but William Shanling has, oh good. What are some things that you've been doing? You've been like hosting these trivia nights that have been epic. Yeah. You've been posting your Days of Quarantine Boredness podcast. So what are some things that you've been doing that have helped you that you've been persisting in doing while you're on pandemic?
So one of the things from one of your earlier conversations that I really drawed upon, I think this was probably the very first one you did, was trying to find a meaningful substitute to the work that I have. Mm-hmm. So normally I'm a stage manager at the Disneyland Resort, and I find my work to be very fulfilling and meaningful, both in supporting the cast members backstage and the guests on stage. And I don't have that right now. And a lot of my friends don't have that right now. So it's about finding a meaningful and purposeful, but temporary substitute for where I can put that passion in. And so I've been doing a lot of volunteer work through Disney Volunteers with the Smithsonian Institute, simply transcribing old documents from the 1900s and the late 1800s. So every day I end up learning something different, but the persistence to find something meaningful has been really important for me at this point, because I don't have my usual outlet for passion and creativity. And so there's a couple of friends who've been able to jump on that as well. And just being persistent and finding something to find meaning right now and have meaningful work.
That is awesome. Thank you so much. And it's not only persistent, it's being consistent with those things. And I think consistency looks different during a pandemic than it does in regular life, right? I think that consistency in a pandemic looks like, yay, I got out of bed and got dressed today. You know, and so we gotta cut ourselves a little bit of slack. But the definition of consistency I like: achievement of a level of performance that does not vary greatly over quality in time. Or this one, the way in which a substance holds things together. You know what I mean? If you make cookies and the consistency is too runny, the cookies like don't turn out very well. They turn into like watery pancake things. Or if you make cupcakes or cake and the consistency is too dense, it's just doesn't taste as good. So it's the junk that holds things together. And you've heard me say it a lot, is that it's consistency is like the mortar that holds the bricks. So as you're building a wall, it's the stuff that holds the bricks together to build an edifice or a wall or a structure that helps you to grow. It really is important to not only have persistence, that little gnat. Have you ever noticed that there's like flies that are so persistent and you're like, I need to just kill a fly. Anyway, but but it's the way stuff is held together, and that is important during this time frame.
Well, Linda, like right now things are so inconsistent. Like, we have no way really of knowing how much longer, what things will be like, when things like it's so inconsistent. You can't plan for anything right now. Like,
No.
so how do you find consistency and stay persistent in a time like this?
Well, you know, I think we're just throwing spaghetti on the wall sometimes. You know, what can I do today that's going to make me feel like I'm not going to punch someone? But I think that sometimes you have to do an imagination mind melt, where get a piece of paper out and ask yourself some questions. And maybe it's like what you see in the future. Maybe it's a mind melt of, okay, in the next 6 months, this is what I can do, or this is what I can do in the next 2 weeks. And some questions you can ask is, what does my life look like? What do I want my life to look like when this is all over? What do I want it to feel like? So that's not tangible. It's like, I want to look like I have balance, or I want to feel like I'm able to find joy in the midst of things that are hard. What would an expert in the thing that I think is interesting feel like or do, or what's something that they might do? And do I need to shift my perspective? So those are kind of 4 questions I ask myself is, what do I want my life to look like when this is over? What do I want it to feel like? What would an expert in that area do? And do I possibly need to change my perspective? Now, I'm going to tell you something. When I'm choreographing a show or when I'm working on something, people say, oh my gosh, you're so fast. How did you do that so fast? Oh, that's so amazing. You got that to me really quick. Well, I'm going to share with you something very transparent. It wasn't fast. I am super, super slow. When I choreograph the 12 counts of 8 little routine that we have been doing on Tuesday morning, it literally takes me from Tuesday afternoon till Tuesday morning to do it, 8 counts at a time. And I write it down and I hate it and I throw it out and I just like labor over it. And then because it's so hard for me and takes me so long, and maybe you don't have this problem because you're faster than I am, it takes so long that I think, oh, I have shame. I think, oh, I'm just bad. And like, I saw your face, Crystal, you're like, you're so dumb. No, but the truth is, that's where my brain goes. That ugly voice in my head goes to, you are bad. What the heck? You're just a horrible, horrible thing. And then the voice is, you know, then I start beating myself up. So with your reaction sign, when the work that you do or the things that you do don't come as fast as you want them to, I would like you to clap or give me a thumbs up. Clap, give me a thumbs up. Yeah, yeah. You know, and so then you have to say, guess what? Everyone does. Everyone does. So what do you think you are, a snowflake? You're not. That's the process that everyone has to go through to be creative. And I love, I've quoted Mel Robbins a lot from her book, The 5-Second Rule, but she just is really resonating with me right now. Like, I literally have to go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 every day. About every 15 minutes of my life, I have to say, get off the couch, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, boom. You know, do a push-up, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Set up a Zoom call, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. I have to do these things every day. And she writes, if you have a problem that can be solved by action, you don't have a problem. If you have a problem that can be solved by action, you don't have a problem. And the thing is that sometimes the action, this is the magic. Okay, here's the miracle. The action only has to be a little action. The action only has to be a push-up, right? Or the action can be, I'm going to just put my workout clothes. My friend Bert Fulton, who is also on this call. So I quote the people in my life, ps.com, but he says, you know, he reminded me that sometimes he'll say to himself, I don't feel like working out, but I'm going to tell myself I'm going to work out for 1 minute and then I can quit, or 5 minutes and then I can quit. And usually when you start, you know, 5 minutes in, you're like, okay, I can go for a half hour. That minimum Thursday, minimum 30 minutes that we all want to do of movement a day, which doesn't have to be all at one time. P.S. You can do it during commercials. If you watch commercials. Amber, you keep leaving the waiting room. I keep admitting you. But the reality is what the next question Amber was going to ask me, because I give her feeding questions, was what keeps us from consistently pursuing our dreams? And we're going to dig into this a lot next week, but I think the number one thing that keeps us from persisting, consistent, persevering is self-doubt. Are the voices in our head that say, no, you can't. Not today. And maybe it is not today for a little while. Maybe it is not today for 10 years, you know, because the reality is there's super, like across the board, triggers or traps of self-doubt, and it's hesitation, hiding, hypercritical, and helplessness. And we're going to kind of dive into that all next week. So I'm going to encourage you to come next week to find out how do you get rid of the self-doubt of hesitation, hiding, hypercritical, and helplessness. But I'll tell you, hesitation is usually triggered by uncertainty and overthinking and wanting to be perfect. Hiding is usually figured by fear, avoidance, and shame. Hypercritical is usually perfectionist triggered, which is usually triggered by failure. Right? It feels crappy, horrible to fail. It feels icky and it's uncomfortable. And helplessness, where we feel like we're the victim. And that's usually triggered by low self-esteem. But persistence has motivation based in anticipation. So maybe if we reverse engineer that, maybe you have to work on what you're anticipating. You know, what are you anticipating? What is that? What could be? What's that? It's all art. Who loves a first day of rehearsal? Right? I love the first day of rehearsal and I hate the first day of rehearsal, and I have to practically be medicated and breathe and tell myself good words and do my superhero pose in a bathroom stall because it's so scary, but we love it because we're anticipating that next thing. And so here's the thing I would like to ask the room is, what have we stopped doing in the last 74 days that maybe needs to be picked back up? What have we stopped doing in the last maybe you haven't, maybe you're like really good at a pandemic and needs to be picked back up or needs to be discovered anew. Because there's always a way to adjust so that we can reach our greatest potential. And my guess is that you care about reaching your greatest potential because you're on this call, right? If you weren't, you would go, Linda, it's all bully junk. I hate listening to her. She's a cuckoo pants. Those things are true. Those things are true. And so you might ask, how do we do that? How do we go back in and decide what needs to be picked up, right? Aristotle, I love quotes because they help ground me in the thoughts that I think in my brain. And he writes, we are what we repeatedly do. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act, but a habit. Excellence is not an act, it's a habit. And those of you, how many musicians do I have out here in this room? Raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, We're gonna have a really fun class next week for musicians, by the way, just so that you know. On Friday at 11 o'clock, we're gonna do movement for musicians. Actually, I'm calling it movement for my musician homies. And that was not my title, it was my friend Peter's title. He said, don't call it a dance class, no one will come. So it's called Movement for My Musician Homies. So come and participate Friday at 11 o'clock to learn movement for my musician homies. I don't know what it's gonna be yet, but it's gonna be super fun. Right, Ryan McGee? Because I'm doing it for you, because that's how much I love you. So we have to create habits that give us the strength to persist and persevere. And I don't think that people come by perseverance or persistence or tenacity naturally. There's habits that are attached to those things. And so we have to work on habits, and that's going to be what we're going to talk about in 2 weeks is habits. But there really are two kinds of habits. There's a keystone habit that has a rippling effect where you start to do something, you start to run, and because you start running, you know you need to stretch, so you're running and you're stretching, and you know that if you eat a hamburger before you run, you get sick to your stomach and barf halfway through your run, so you don't eat a hamburger before you run, right? So those are keystone habits. I don't eat hamburgers before I run, I stretch before and after I run, and I run. So that habit of running has a rippling effect into other habits. And then there's stacking habits, and we've talked about stacking habits before, where you do one thing consistently and then you add a habit on top of that. So I challenged everyone, I think a few weeks ago, every time you wash your hands, do a push-up. Just a push-up. I hate doing push-ups, so I do a plank, or I do reverse dips or whatever. Do something, do 10 jumping jacks, you know, so that is a stacking habit. And then I'm going to tell you, I've been asking myself these questions. Do I know what I need to improve? Do I know what habits I need to improve? Now, maybe I don't. So then I have to go back to that mind meld. I have to brainstorm. What are things that maybe I need to improve? Or you can be super, super vulnerable and you can ask a friend. I hate that. You know what? I would rather just be self-deprecating. So what do I need to improve? Do I know how I'm supposed to improve? And you might not. So then get going, probably figure out how you're supposed to improve that by watching experts and learning new skills. And do I even know why I need to keep improving? That's a whole nother story, because maybe you need to keep improving in another area. Maybe it's time to shift or pivot. Maybe it's time to let something go or not if you're not ready to. So you have to know why. It's back to that why thing. And then I'm borrowing this from Rachel Hollis and Glennon Doyle, but then you got to be a warrior. You have to go to battle on the things that you want to get better at, on your habits, on your ideas of persistence. Nelson Mandela writes, it will always seem impossible until it's done. Now, how many of you in your life or in the last week have thought something was impossible, but you did it anyway? Anyone? Good. And did you do it? Remember? Fear, try, survive, right? Survive or succeed, and then go again. So that you're already working on your persistence. And so things that warriors do is they train every single day. They work on something every single day. And that can look like morning pages from Julia Cameron, The Artist's Way. It can look like a Start Today journal from Rachel Hollis. It can look like Mel Collins has one. It can look like anything, just do something. Know that you will get your butt kicked. If you're in battle, if you're pushing yourself, you're gonna have goo happen. Remember? I think it was 4 weeks ago, finding joy in the goo, right? So you're gonna get your butt kicked. You're gonna, when you're beat up, you know what you need to do to heal yourself, right? Whether it's take a knee or put a Band-Aid on or pull up your panties and go again. Oh, my family is, we're watching kind of Game of Thrones. I hate it. It's so scary to me. I have to like close my eyes. I just like, I see that the knives are out and I close my eyes and I turn the sound off and I'm like, tell me it's over, tell me it's over. It's so gross. I'm like, can we please just watch Sweet Magnolias or, or Mr. Kim's Convenience, like happy shows. Harry Potter. Still, I like eat my cuticles in Harry Potter. They're bloody pulps because I'm like, oh, he's coming, Voldemort. I know. I count when the music starts to play and it goes, I go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and always that's when somebody scary jumps out. Anyway, you have to know what you need to do to get stronger, and then you have to go into battle again and start all over again. So it is a constant circle. Train every day, go into battle, know you're going to get your butt kicked, heal, go again. Rinse and repeat every day of your life for everything that you want to get better at. So that's a million things, but you can only really do one thing at a time, so don't kill yourself. Now, Maya Angelou, who I love, Oprah's queen, has also become my queen. She writes, you may encounter many defeats, but you must not be defeated. In fact, it may be necessary to encounter defeat so that you can know who you are, what you can rise from, and how you can still come out of it. Such a great thought, right? You're going to get beat up. You're going to get defeated. There are going to be people who are going to say that you're not good. There are going to be people who don't believe in you. Do it anyway, right? My friend Crystal Dancer and I have a bracelet that has initials on it that it's get the F out of my way. But it doesn't have the words. It just says F, get out of my way, get out of my way, get out of my way. But we're going to have to go through a lot of people. And so the challenge, and this is a challenge that we did in a RISE conference, I want you to write a letter to yourself from your persistence. Write a letter to yourself from your persistence, or to your persistence, or your persistence is writing to you, however you want to wrap it up. Mine went something like this, so I'm going to be super vulnerable and tell you what I wrote. Dear Linda, I am your persistence. I am the part of you that never gave up, and this is what I want you to know, that everyone there around you has a struggle in their life, an obstacle. You can overcome these. You have been through sad charms. You have been broken. Your heart has been broken, but you have always come out on the other side stronger. And through your example, you have given others permission to strive. You were made divinely created to lift and inspire. When your childhood was jacked up, you still rose to higher places. You helped your mom to make out a life and made a life for yourself through your struggles. If you wanted something to happen, needed it, you set a goal and you worked for it and eventually made it happen. Your greatest skill is your ability to get back up and go again. Your work ethic and passion. Keep going, learning, growing. You can handle anything that comes your way. And from here on out, I promise to feel the sadness of being passed over, but then get over it. Change is good. Be the biggest version of yourself. Love, your persistence. So my challenge for you is to write that. Write a letter to yourself from your persistence with all the stuff that you've overcome. If you are standing here today, 1 in 300 trillion chances, you have gone through crap. You have gone through hard. And your struggle and your sadness for sure will be somebody else's playbook. Your struggle or sadness will be somebody else's playbook. And your job is to help them. Your job is to help them. You don't have to be perfect. Don't be perfect because perfect is boring. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be persistent. Perseverance is the hard work you do after you get tired of doing the hard work. Persistence is the hard work you do after you get tired of doing the hard work. John Maxwell writes, perseverance begins with the right attitude, an attitude of tenacity. But the desire to persevere alone isn't enough. to keep most people going when they are tired or discouraged. Perseverance is a trait that can be cultivated. It's something that you grow. John Maxwell's book, Beyond Talent, has like scads and scads and scads and scads and scads of great goo in it. So read it. But he talks about, instead of habits you need to input into your life, he talks about habits you need to delete. Oh, it's so much easier to take stuff away, isn't it? So much easier, because do you ever feel like if someone tells you to do one more thing, you're going to punch them in the face? Please don't tell me to do one more thing. Please don't make me do one more thing. It's so hard and I'm so tired and all I want to do is eat popcorn and watch Harry Potter. We actually watched the last Harry Potter last night, and we had butterbeer, shortbread cookies, and butterbeer, and witch's cauldron shepherd's pie. So it was super, super fun. My daughter Hannah is ridiculous. But the habits you need to delete are a lifestyle of giving up. Don't give up. Just keep going. Talent without perseverance never comes to its fruition. There's a direct correlation between perseverance and potential. Number 2, a wrong belief that life should be easy. Life is not supposed to be easy. It's supposed to be worth it. Life is not supposed to be easy. It's supposed to be worth it. So if you think you have arrived, you're in trouble, because success is a total moving target. You have to work on, the next one is a wrong belief that success is a destination, right? So number 1, lifestyle of giving up. Get rid of it. A wrong belief that life should be easy, get rid of it. A wrong belief that success is a destination, get rid of it, right? Success is a moving target. Number 4, a lack of resiliency. We must not become dry and brittle and inflexible. Do you know crunchy people? Do you know people who are so crabby and so crunchy that they just can't move forward? I tell my kids this all the time. The greatest thing people teach us is what not to do. The greatest thing people teach us is what not to do. And so we cannot become dry and brittle and inflexible. We must bounce back. And we have to have vision. A habit to get rid of is a lack of vision. So, as with all things, you have to know the opposite of the negative. Right? So get rid of all of those things: a lack of vision, a lack of resiliency, a lack that success is a destination, a lack that life is supposed to be easy, right? Get rid of all those things and add in, have a vision for yourself. And I don't think the vision has to be really specific. For me, I think sometimes what we talked about earlier, what's it going to feel like? What does it look like? Where do I live? What kind of work do I do? How do I contribute to people? That could be a billion, trillion things. But most importantly, what do you want it to feel like? What do you want it to feel like? I think that is so, so critical. Brendan Burchard, who you know I love, writes, "Vision doesn't land on you. It's not like you walk outside of your house one day and the piano of purpose falls on your head and suddenly everything is clear." Can you just visualize that? A piano, like the anvil in Roadrunner, you know? A piano falls on your head and you suddenly know what your purpose is. Some people have that epiphany. Some people have that awakening. But for most of us, it requires diligence and hard work. So there is no magic potion. I have said so many times that I wish I could be Tinkerbell and I could go poof and I could make magic happen, right? A magic fairy, and make good things happen for your life, but I can't. You can only make the good things happen for your life. Believe that, have a vision for yourself, believe that you can figure things out, and have fun. So in my Start Today journal, the Rachel Hall Start Today journal, you have to write 10 dreams that you want to have happen. You write the same 10 dreams over and over again every single day. Dream number 3 for me is find fun. I am not very good at finding fun. I am good at getting stuff done, but I have a harder time finding fun. So that is a goal, something that I'm working on. The reality is no matter what dream you're chasing, there are going to be jerks. There are going to be cruddy people. So what can you do? Be the one that walks into the room with a positive, buoyant, focused attitude. Find the fun. Bring the fun with you. I have been known in my meetings at Disneyland to bring a big old basket of chocolate chip cookies. And people are like, what are you doing bringing chocolate chip cookies? I go, everything is better with chocolate chip cookies, right? Everything is better. The fourth is you have to be patient and persistent. Brendan Burchard writes, I think some of the worst components and the worst behaviors and vices of humankind comes from hurry. Shut up, right? The worst behaviors and vices of humankind comes from hurry. Being in way too big of a hurry and wanting the immediate payoff. Being entitled to have it right now without allowing that long journey of struggle. We want it right now. We want to be seen and we want it right now. Persistence of action and behavior is what gets you ahead. It's the rule of life. Totally the rule of life. And the fifth habit you need to incorporate in, and this is my favorite one, is love and respect others that are playing the same game. Love and respect others who are playing the same game. I spent so much of my young performer life mad that this person or that person got the job that I didn't get. It's a waste of time, right? If your problem can be solved by action, you don't have a problem. It just means that that job wasn't your job that day, right? Or that thing that you wanted really bad was just not your time, and that's okay. That's okay. But I think that when we love the people who we are serving and who we are walking with, our life is so much more joyful. Thomas Edison writes, many of life's failures are people who did not realize how close they were to success when they gave up. So when you go one more time and you say, I gotta go one more time, right? Because the next time is the time. And then you do that time and you get cut, or the thing that you want to have happen doesn't happen. You go, I'm gonna go one more time. And you just keep going. One more time, one more time, one more time. One more, compound pounding. That's what makes us strong. It's remember that confidence comes from trying. Confidence comes from trying. Self-doubt comes from not. So I'm going to end my story with, take the things you love and consistently and persistently persevere, because this world needs you. Absolutely needs what you bring. And if you don't bring it, no one else will. And again, finally, quoting Brendan Burchard again, you never know when your last mistake, setback, or regret will lead you to the next miracle. Your last mistake, setback, regret will lead you to the next miracle. Isn't that a great idea? Isn't that, I just read that about 8,000 times. I was like, dang, that's so good. So we have a few moments. I chatted for a really long time. I was going to ask you a million questions, but I got so excited about my words. Does anyone have any questions, thoughts, words, observations, things you went, oh, I loved that part? And here we are. Oh, good. And by the way, Gigi has been putting all of the quotes in the messages in the chat. And I have put in when and the Zoom numbers for all of my classes next week too. So copy and paste those into your world. So if you want to come and participate, I'm going to post the Zoom numbers and on my Facebook and on my Instagram, and I'll do it on Sunday night, and I'll do it on Monday night and Tuesday morning and Wednesday night and Thursday morning and Thursday night and Friday morning. So I always post because you might be not doing social media. And if you're not doing social media and you want me to send you an email invite, private message me and give me your email and I'll give you an email invite, okay? Because we want to keep this going, these conversations going. So anybody, I'm going to see, anybody have any questions? Any thoughts?
Well, just to touch on your classes that you're going to have, we'll make sure that we, please put it in the chat, Linda, but we will also post on our Facebook and Instagram anything that our instructors are doing while we take our short hiatus. And we definitely don't want you to miss any time with Linda. I don't, so we'll have that posted. But go ahead and post that in the chat too, Linda.
Thank you. And my friends, if there's a topic you go, could we just dive in? I'm thinking we're going to do self-doubt next week, and we're going to do fear the week after that. Because self-doubt and fear sort of go together, and you could spend a lot of time talking on both of those things. So that's kind of where I'm thinking we're going. With the dance classes, if you're curious, we might do like some rewinds, like do a week or two of other things. So if you have something you're like, do that combo again, it was so much fun, just let me know that too, okay? So again, that was for you to think of a thought or a question. Anybody? No, I can't see any hands. Brenda Lazarus. Oh wait, here, Veronica. Can I repeat that last quote? Yes. That last quote was, I don't know, I gotta find my page. I have to write everything down because it would be just like a big, hot, crazy town spiderweb mess. But it's from Brendan Burchard, and it says, you never know when your last mistake, setback, or regret will lead to the next miracle. And we're just starting, y'all. We're just starting with what gets to be great in this world. We're going to come when we get through this pandemic, and we will get through this pandemic. The bubonic plague happened and people are still alive. You are here to tell about it. Some of your ancestors maybe didn't live through the bubonic plague, but at least 2 of them did. Right? At least 2 of them did. So here's the thing, is that you're going to get through this. And I was teaching a lesson for my church on Tuesday night, and somebody said, if you say this is our new normal, I'm going to punch you through the screen on the face. Okay. I hope that I'm doing more meetings at home than I could be in pajamas all day. Yeah. Anything else? No, don't stop talking. Well, the reality is our time is almost done, and I'm sitting on a choreographer's panel today. So I need to make sure that I eat some food and I go to the bathroom, which are things that I have to remind myself. When I'm working with Crystal Dancer, she says, did you eat? Have you gone pee? And she goes, and now you're going to go do that right now. So the other story about learning how to be persistent and have perseverance and tenacity is make sure that you have people that you love in your corner. Make sure that you can help each other, you know, and I want to be here to help this group of human beings do whatever they need to do to make it through whatever they need to make it through. So please reach out if you need to. Know that it's going to get better. It's going to get weirder. It's going to get weirder. Those of us who work at Disneyland, it's going to get weirder for us, okay? Just so that you know, it's going to get weirder. It's going to be different, but it's going to get better. I'm going to do lots of parades. Lots of faraway parades. Yeah? And I hope that every day, my friend Katie Brown, who is also on this call, I just think all my friends come on this call because they're like, yay, it's Linda. Katie Brown would say that every time she would go out to do a yes program, she would always just like put her hands to her heart and say, just one, just if I could just touch one person with one thing, then that would be enough. And so that's what I do too. Before these calls, I'm like, let me just say one thing. Let me just say one thing, that one person, it helps their heart. Because all these things that I talk to you about, all that stuff is stuff I'm working on every day. Yeah, it's not stuff I know. It's stuff that I'm all, yeah, this is what my best self looks like. So, Amber, do you have any questions, my sweet love?
No, I don't even know how long my computer is going to be stable, my internet connection. So I'm going to toss it over to Gigi before I freeze out again.
All right. Love you, Amber. Text me and we'll get on the phone and talk about the other thing that we were talking about.
Okay.
And
listen,
Gigi,
we're just running out of time here. I just want to thank you on behalf of all my team at 3D Theatricals for joining us today. I hope that you got a lot out of the wonderful advice Linda has given and just given us a lot to think about. You guys take care of yourselves. We have to take care of ourselves so we can take better care of each other, right? And with that, I just want to say thank you, and we'll see you at 2. Linda, thank you. Miss Amber?